Except it's the Seth and Sean broadcast, but for the third straight week, there's no Sean, no Seth. There's no Seth and Sean. It's either Seth or not being here or Sean. This week, no Sean. So to replace Mr. Palmer, who is on a train going somewhere, I don't really know where. Wow, it sounds like we have echo in the back. Mr. Zach Ziskin, fantasy football aficionado, NBA conspiracy theorists, and all around good dude.
Unreal. What an
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
So I guess we start with, I mean, there's really nothing else to start with but the NBA playoffs right now.
Makes sense.
Okay. Are you having an echo, by the way, or is it sounding okay on your end?
I'm good on my end. I'm good.
I wonder why. So we start off. We're down to 4 teams. 2 of them, again. When Adam Silver was picking his dream 4-team scenario, I'm pretty sure Milwaukee, Atlanta, Phoenix, and the Clippers without Kawhi were not part of that.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
We're 2-2 in the East. We're 3-2 in the West. And I'll tell you, I don't understand how the Clippers have gotten this far. All credit to Tyronn Lue. Without Kawhi, with Paul George and a bunch of ifs, ands, or buts, they're holding tough against Phoenix, and it really looks like if Chris Paul doesn't get his act back together for Game 6, we could be looking at a 7-game series in the West.
This is his last chance, and you look at Chris Paul. He's a decorated player. He's got everything you want out of an all-star point guard. The problem is when it comes to the playoffs, he's been down in all these series, going back to Houston and all the other teams he's played for. He's just never made it to a final. This is his last opportunity. And keep in mind, the Suns won the first 2 games without him, right? They won those first 2 without him. He came back, and I don't really know what's going on aside from the Clippers having grit, having a malleable team that listens to an incredible coach. This guy is unbelievable. T. Lue, he's phenomenal. And you have to agree with me that Paul George is the best player in the playoffs right now. I
don't have to agree with you. I absolutely don't have to agree with you, and I don't.
Okay.
But I agree that, look, and I used to kill on Tyronn Lue in Cleveland because I'm just trying to see if there's okay. Sorry, there's a weird echo on my end.
Is there? I'm not getting it on my end.
Good. Give me 2 let me see if there's a mic thing. Sorry, bear with me a quick second. Let me see if this works better. Okay. Does that? Yeah, that sounds.
Sounds good.
It's still doing it. Welcome to our. Welcome to the fun of podcasting without headphones. Okay. Regardless, I killed on Lue in Cleveland because I just thought they got rid of David Blatt. He was there.
Right.
They had Irving. They had James. They had Kevin Love.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is this team to coach? What he's done with the Clippers after last year's debacle, and led really by a team of Paul George, he's been very good. I wouldn't put him above Trae Young for this playoffs.
Disagree, but okay.
And really a bunch of maybes: Marcus Morris, Beverly, Terrence Mann. I mean, who was wonderful in the Utah game. But it is a team that the sum of the parts together is better than the individual talent. What are your thoughts going into I also look. Paul was the best player through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. He just hasn't been good since he was out for the COVID protocol.
This is all their championship run right now for the Clippers is predicated on Paul George making shots, blocking up and down the court. I mean, he's alive. He's back. This is Indiana Paul. I mean, when he was leading that team, back in Indiana, when he was leading the Pacers, he was the man. He was taking all the shots. And now, with no claw, he's back in that position. And he's making shots. And he's putting up points. And I think if he can continue on with this production, this team's going to come back from a 3-1 deficit. I think they're going to go to the championship. We'll talk about the Bucks in a second with no Giannis and flaky Middleton and some of the issues going on over there. But if the Hawks end up persevering there, this could be a Clippers championship. This could be the year for the Clippers.
Well, I think the fun of this is
there's a new team in LA. There's a new team.
We really don't know. A lot of times it's a I don't want to say preordained, but you knew Golden State was winning the championship many of those years. You knew once Clay and Durant got hurt that the Raptors were going to win. You knew that it was going to be the Lakers or the Celtics. You knew it was going to be the Bulls. This year, we have 4 teams. We really don't know which of these 4 teams is even going to make the finals, let alone winning, which is what's making it really entertaining.
It is.
Now, to be blunt, I thought Milwaukee prior to last night had a definitive advantage going in.
I would agree.
With Giannis hyperextending. Now, Did you see the fall?
It's bad.
It was ugly.
If they somehow win the next 2 games, you'll see him in the finals, but he's gone for the series. He's done.
Is that what they've said?
That's my prognosis of the situation.
Are you a doctor as well?
I try to be. I'm a doctor of real estate and a doctor of sports.
There you go. We're all a doctor of sports at the end of the day. But I agree, without Giannis, Giannis is such a strange player. We talked about this a couple days ago.
We did, yeah.
It's hard for me to define someone as a superstar who can't hit free throws at the end of the game. It's we talked about Ben Simmons. You and I spoke about Ben Simmons, and now Simmons is obviously on the trading block. To me, if you're Philly, you can't trade him because you're getting 60 cents on the dollar.
Sure.
But this is a guy who did average 16, 17 points a game. This is not something – with Simmons, it's a mental thing. With Giannis, I'm not sure if it's a mental thing or not. I just don't know. He's such a weird game. He shoots the 3-ball from time to time, but he's not a 3-ball shooter.
He has very little mid-range. That's where he is, down in the paint.
He is so long that it's one step – from the foul line, it's one step to a layup or a dunk.
I have the utmost respect for him because people talk about superstars, right, in basketball, and they say, listen, when the clock is running down and we're down by 1 and there's 10 seconds left on the shot clock, the game's about to expire, you give the ball to your superstar and he makes that basket and wins you the game, right? Giannis is not that guy. No. But Giannis, also have the utmost respect for him. He says, you know what, Middleton, you take the shot. Because I trust you, just like with Reggie Jackson coming along. I trust you at the end of this game to make that jumper. To take that shot, put the ball in your hands. Because listen, I'm going to get fouled. I'm an awful free throw shooter, and I can guide us the first 3 quarters of the game. But if you're hot, I'm going to give you the ball and let you play. And that's what I have respect for when you look at some of these superstars. Kevin Durant, not that kind of player.
That's fair. But when LeBron did this, LeBron got crushed. If you remember years ago, he gave up a shot at the end. It was, I think, game 1 of the finals, one of the years. I forget which one. And he got crushed for giving up, passing to a guy who had an open 3. Guy missed a shot. I would prefer to see them give it. You're not giving it up to your number 5 guy who's scoring 6 points a game. But I agree with you. If Giannis is going to give it up to a Middleton or a Drew Holiday for an open shot to win a game, I mean, look, they're both of those guys are going to the Olympic team. Like, they're really good players.
There are stars, and this isn't across sports, but mostly in basketball and football. There are stars, there are superstars, and then there are GOATs. Okay, and when you talk about the GOAT level, you're on a whole other plane. Your IQ is so far beyond its brilliancy in your sport.
Is that a word?
LeBron is like that. Tiger's like that. Brady's like that. And a case could be made that maybe Mahomes and maybe my boy Josh Allen, which we will talk about today, could.
Did you just put Josh Allen in the GOAT conversation? Are you
3 years carrying a team that's been out of the playoffs for 2 decades. In his first year, he's passing 50%. Third year, 70%.
He was great last year.
40 touchdowns.
He was great last year. Look, he went to a fantasy championship. Couldn't,
not to
couldn't
switch
like him
topics,
more.
they're going to the Super Bowl this year. Just watch.
Maybe. GOAT?
Maybe not GOAT. You have to be
GOAT?
decorated to be a
Come
GOAT.
on.
Yeah, sorry about that. You have to be decorated. But to go back to the LeBron conversation, LeBron LeBron has vision on a field, on a court. LeBron can make the play. He can play this out in his head 10 seconds before it goes and knows this guy has a better percentage of making that shot and winning the game, whether it's a Ray Allen, a Kyrie Irving, whoever it is in that position. He's going to make that play. He's going to make that call. And Ty Lue, on the Cavs, gave him that floor, to do that.
But you kind of just said the point. LeBron gave the ball to Ray Allen, a Hall of Fame player, one of the 10 best shooters of all time.
Right.
To Kyrie Irving, potentially a Hall of Famer, one of the best scorers in the league. If we're going to the Kevin Durant discussion from Game 7, where he was mind-bogglingly brilliant in the game, who was he going to pass the freaking ball to? Harden was injured, playing but injured. Kyrie was out. Joe Harris was 3 for 48. I mean, who you get? Bruce Brown?
I was a Nets fan living in Brooklyn over a decade before they became this stacked potential future Golden State Warrior dynasty when they assembled this big three. And I'm tired of these injuries. Silver needs to change the schedule. They need to do something, manage minutes. I don't know what it is, but there just wasn't that chemistry. I don't like Irving. He's not my type of player. I don't like him. Harden, I don't know what happened. I guess it's an injury, whatever it was.
He tore his hamstring. That's why he's out for the Olympics.
You have Harden and Durant both at the top of their games. This is a no-brainer. They're winning the championship.
The championship is done.
They're winning the championship. The difference here between Durant and LeBron, and you have people chirping all over the place. Kevin Durant is the best player in basketball right now. That's what you're hearing right now. But he's not. He's a premier shooter. He's an incredible shooter. Okay. He can carry a team. He has the ability to carry a team. He's no LeBron James and he's no Michael Jordan. He's not a facilitator. He's not somebody that I trust on the court and off the court. He's not he's not the center of it all. And I just don't trust him. And you know what he did? He took a very bad shot in Game 7 against the Bucks. They should have won the game, and he freaking blew it. I put that on him.
I don't know how you put that on him at all.
I put it on him 100%. Because there you go right there. We're talking about who takes the last shot in the game. He shouldn't have taken that shot. It wasn't a good shot. It was an off-balance three. It was not a good shot, and they lost the game because of it.
But then if you want to make a blame, I don't know how you blame a guy who goes for 50, 10, and 10. But if you want to make a blame, I blame Nash. The reality is Durant should not have been bringing the ball up. He was playing 1-on-5 offense. If you want to rest Durant a little bit, you let him go down low. He can pass out of the block. He can shoot out of the block. And he's not the focus. He's not the focus for all 24 seconds of the shot clock. He can breathe a little bit. I didn't love the play. I didn't like the play. I saw it as it was the ball.
But you know what? He's no Dame time. He's no Curry, and you know my feelings on Curry.
You can't stand Curry.
And he's no Trae Young. I would rather have those three guys take that deep three or that off balance three than Kevin Durant.
You're insane. You'd rather have Trae Young who's shooting about 25% from 3-point land in the playoffs.
You know what? I'm not a Trae fan. I'm not a Hawks fan. I was riding the Bucks Suns train this entire, the Eastern and Western Conference. I thought they were both shoo-ins. They were the front runners. I was riding their bandwagons.
You thought the Bucks and Suns were shoo-ins,
right,
at the conference final level, or going into the playoffs?
Going into the finals in this series.
Okay, just the conference
series started. Correct. Now, I think it's Hawks Clippers.
I think both are flips. So, I have a differing view with Durant. I never made the comparison to LeBron because they're completely different players. LeBron is a better Magic Johnson. That's what LeBron is. LeBron is not even though he's led the league in scoring. LeBron is not the scorer that Durant is. Durant is a better scorer than LeBron. He's a better shooter than LeBron. LeBron is a better all-around player. LeBron is a better facilitator. LeBron is a better ball handler. But we're literally talking that LeBron's one of the three. I mean, I don't think anyone has them outside of their top 3 to 4 players of all time.
Who?
So that LeBron.
Right. Okay.
I have him at number 2. I've told you that. I don't. So to me, to compare him to LeBron, what's the difference? You're comparing to potentially the single greatest player of all time.
Because that's the barometer in sports. You always make comparisons against LeBron and against Michael Jordan. Everything.
But no one ever is going to ever live up to that expectation.
Maybe no one thought anybody would be Michael Jordan, and then LeBron James appeared.
LeBron's not Michael Jordan. LeBron's a better Magic. 2 different players.
Okay.
I mean, Jordan is Jordan's the best player I've ever seen. He just is. But Jordan couldn't do what LeBron did, and LeBron couldn't do what Jordan did.
But the mentality of the game has changed. I mean, you talk about the Mamba mentality of Kobe in the early 2000s. You look at the way Jordan treated his teammates. Jordan was like, if you're not going to be here and put in the effort, screw you. Get out of my face. You don't deserve a place here. I mean, he was.
Jordan is a single-minded assassin.
He would scoff at people. But LeBron is all about the collective. LeBron is come in, be my friend, let me guide you. Let's do this together. Let's be a team and let's take this thing all the way.
Right, which is a positive, but it also is a hindrance in some regard. Because people like me resented he went to Miami.
You know what? Yes, we all did, because that started this trend.
Yes, it did.
But you look at what Kevin Durant did was much more severe. You're up 3-1 in OKC. You lose, right? Then you join the 2-time champions who already have Clay, Draymond, Curry. I think Iguodala was on that team. Pat Barnes was on that team. I mean, it was an incredible team with Kerr as a coach. I mean, this was the team. He goes and joins them, wins 2 back-to-back MVPs in the finals, right?
Yeah.
And then what he does is he says, okay, I'm done with this. Let me go build my own dynasty. And you know what my problem with him is? It's not just on the court, it's off the court. 2 weeks ago, or a month ago, he has an altercation with Michael Rappaport, my guy, Michael Rappaport. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Be a leader, be a role model for the kids that look up to you. If you really are the player that people say you are, you're going to show that same personality on the court, off the court. Same thing, just like LeBron. Just like LeBron.
Everybody crushed him.
Left a bad taste in my mouth.
Everyone crushed the Golden State move because it made the NBA meaningless for 4 years. Because no one was going to beat a healthy Golden State team, or for 3 years.
But look where we're at today, Seth. We virtually have 4 teams with a couple, Paul George and Giannis, who's now out. You got a couple of superstars in the mix, but nobody predicted these 4 teams, maybe the Bucks. But
and how much more fun is this?
It's fun. It's certainly fun to have.
It may not be great for ratings, but it is a lot of fun.
3-2 in the West, 2-2 in the East. I mean, this is sports right now. This is exciting.
Oh, this is a blast.
The problem is in the West. Okay, the Suns I thought were a more complete team. I thought Monty was a great coach, and I thought they were going to breeze through. I thought this was going to be probably a 4-1, right? But I think what's happened here is the team's just completely collapsed, and I think it's Paul's responsibility to get, to be that leader like LeBron. Get Booker and get Ayton. Get them to do what they do. You're not going to win a game with Ayton shooting 10 points and 11 rebounds. You need 20-20 out of him. You need 30 to 40 point production out of Booker, and Paul's got to make shots. That's their only chance of winning here. That's their only chance. But every win the Suns have had, it's been that incredible valley-oop by Ayton. In game 2 or 3, incredible. But look at the 2 blowouts that the Clippers had on the other end after down, when there was a stranglehold on the series. They came back with no pressure. They've been down to 2-0 against the Jazz, 2-0 against Dallas, and they somehow just continue to move forward. And that's good coaching. That's adjustments. That's what you need out of a team. I like the Clippers all the way. And they were my enemy. The Clippers were my enemy. Clippers are going all the way.
Are you a Lakers fan?
What's that?
Are you a Lakers fan? How are they your enemy?
The problem is in football, I'm with teams. Don't call me a bandwagon fan. Don't call me a front runner. I don't necessarily have allegiance in the NBA. I love the superstars. I love the dynamics of the team. I love the coaching. And that's as the playoffs start to unfold, that's how I start to move the pieces around. I love Portland. I love Dame and I love Portland. I think they're an outstanding team. And he's an incredible player. I hope he wins a championship in the next 5 years.
Portland was my team to make was both Sean and myself both picked Portland to go to the finals this year.
Yeah.
That did not. That was not good. The idea that Portland would lose to Denver's backup guards was mind-boggling. And now you're in this position where most likely you have to trade McCollum because who's overpriced. This is stuff we've talked about on the show. Do you trade him for a Simmons? Do you trade him for a Porzingis? Portland is not going further. They may win a series here and there, but they're not a championship caliber team the way the team is currently set up. Excuse me. You can't trade Lillard unless he absolutely demands it because Lillard has become the fabric of Portland. Like Bradley Beal has in Washington, where he realizes he can go to a team, i.e. Durant to Golden State, and win a title, but the preference is to win it to build the team himself.
But that's a problem when you have one. I look at the Mavs and I love Luka. I love him. I just do. I think he's an incredible player.
Yes.
He couldn't get past the first round. You look at the Nuggets with the MVP, Jokic. If they had Jamal Murray, I think they would have gone far.
Yeah. I think if they had Jamal Murray, I think they win the title. But
potentially.
Well, look, I think they're the one seed. So everything gets switched around anyway. But they played well. Look, they played very well considering. They just didn't have the question is, what do you do with Denver? Do you trade Michael? Do you trade Michael Porter? I don't think so. You still have him on a rookie deal. But the reality is he's going to want $30 million a year pretty soon. You're paying Jokic $35 million. You're paying Jamal Murray $35 million. There's only so much money in the till.
So, this is all about supporting cast, in my eyes. Every team has one or two superstars, and I think you build your team around that. But the way to win a championship is your secondary. It's your sixth man. It's your supporting cast around those guys. That's why I thought the Suns, literally the best team outside of the Jazz in the West, I thought they were going to take this home, and they seem to be falling apart. And honestly, you want to talk about players who get abuse out there, like a guy like Paul George, who's just everybody's got words for him. If Chris Paul loses this series, this is going to be just devastating for him, catastrophic for his career. This is his last chance. This is Chris Paul's the elder statesman. This is his last chance.
We have no idea because he's a free agent. We don't know where he's going to go. He's going to sign a 2 or 3 year deal, and he's not going to sign with a rebuilding team. He's going to go to a Miami. He's going to go to not the Knicks. The Knicks I don't think are anywhere near. He's going to go to a place where if he doesn't re-sign in Phoenix, which he may very well, he's going to go to a place with a chance to win. But I get your point. Look, they blew the 3-1 lead when he was with Lob City, with with Griffin and Jordan against Houston. They lost with Houston, that painful loss to Golden State when they were up 3-2, and he pulled his hamstring or tore his hamstring a couple of years ago. He is one of the two greatest players of all time never to make a finals, probably the greatest. And look, it would be a stain on the legacy. But at the end of the day, he still has a Hall of Fame career. He's still a top 10 point guard of all time, potentially top 5 based on who you're talking to.
But we've had these conversations before. And I don't want to throw you into the mix here, but everybody says if you don't have a ring on your finger, you're nobody. I don't care what else you carry. First team, second team, MVPs, all defensive, whatever it is, it doesn't matter if you don't have a championship. That's what people say. That's how LeBron gets criticized year over year over year. He's been in 10 championships. His record in the championships is below 500, and he takes that criticism all the time.
He does. But again, it depends what you're talking about. Again, if you're talking for the top 5 to 10 players of all time, yeah. But below that, I think Karl Malone is Charles Barkley is a top 20 player, top 20
championship.
Who doesn't?
I told you that. I love him.
Right. But he never won. He never won a ring.
Patrick Ewing, all these guys from the.
Well, Ewing to me is way further down the list. But
Okay,
yeah,
that's fair.
I mean, I'm actually going to pull up my list. I did a top 50 list about 2 months ago. Let me see if I can. And Elgin Baylor, I think, was my highest rated guy who never won a title. And why didn't he win a title? He played with Jerry West. He played with Will Chamberlain because they were playing against the Celtics, who won 11 out of 13 titles. I mean, it's not always that simple. And let's see what we got. Here we go. Top 50.
Here's as you go into this list, though, here's the problem. I was born in the late 80s. You were born
Much earlier.
Much earlier. We'll leave it at that. Everybody born in 1990 and further, the next generation, they don't know these players, the Russells, the Wilts, the Baylors.
I didn't see them play. I'm not 65 years old. I wear a backwards hat.
Okay, fair. So why can't there be a new era? Why do we have to, and nothing against the Magics and the Birds and all these, and the Jordans and everybody beforehand, but why can't there be a 21st century all-time list? Why do we have to go back to when basketball was different? Because it really was different.
Well, then how do you have it? If it's an all-time list, why would you only go back 20 years?
I don't know. Maybe it's a generational list. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, look, generationally, what do you want to say? LeBron's the best player of this millennium. True.
Okay, sure.
Durant is. I mean, if you have your top five, it's. I mean,
don't get me started with this.
No, LeBron, it's LeBron, it's Kobe, it's Curry, it's Durant, and I don't know who the center would be. Duncan, maybe Shaq.
It's got to be. Shaq. It's got to be.
Well,
Shaq.
Would you rather have Shaq or Duncan as a player?
I'd rather have Shaq.
I'd rather have Duncan. So, okay. I mean, it's a different. The way I also see it is Shaq played for 10 years in the 90s before the millennium.
Right.
So by the time you hit, he was great for the first 3 to 5 years and then went downhill. Duncan was great for the first 12 to 15 years. That's why.
Well, they also had Pop. They had Coach Pop, so that team was brilliant.
And what do you call it? Had Phil Jackson.
And Phil Jackson, sure.
Was considered amazing until Scottie Pippen just came out last week and called him a racist.
Well, Scottie Pippen's been running his mouth the last couple of weeks all over the map, all over the place. And I even heard, and when he got into this, spat with Durant, because Durant loves this, he thrives off of this. Durant said, "Oh, I don't know if it was the Jordan flu game or what it was, but it was the end of the game, and Scottie sat on the bench." You probably remember.
Yeah, this is Game 3 of the 1994 semifinals.
There you go.
So Jordan was retired. Pippen was having an MVP.
The middle. This was year 4.
Yeah, this was 94. Right. This was the first of the 2 years in between.
Right.
And Phil Jackson called the play for Tony Kukoc, not for Pippen. So Pippen refused to go into the game. And Kukoc hit the shot to win the game.
I remember that. Yep.
So now the reality was Kukoc was a very good shooter. Was a very good player. He wasn't Pippen as an overall player, but no one's ever really, as far as I know, and not that I have that much insight in this, but no one that I know has ever insinuated racist undertones with Phil Jackson before. So I don't really have a response to it because it seems, unless I have something substantiated more than just the ravings of Pippen, what you can even say.
Let's jump back to modern era. We're spending too much time in the 80s and 90s. Let's live in the present. Let's live in the now. Let's live in the wild 4 teams left here with basically even series. And I don't know. I mean, I thought this was Bucks. I was proud of Giannis. I said, this is Giannis's moment. You know what? He keeps getting stuck the last couple of years. The guy's a superstar. It's his time. He's going to win his ring. It's not going to happen now. Because who's going to carry this team? Tucker, Middleton, Lopez? Who's going to carry this team? Nobody. Nobody's going to carry this team.
No, I'm not sure. Look, every time we count out Milwaukee, we counted out Milwaukee down 2-0 against Brooklyn. We counted out Milwaukee down 3-2 against Brooklyn after that ridiculous performance by Durant in Game 5. Milwaukee's a good team and they're a tough team. They're not playing against Dakota Modern teams. They're not playing against the 2002 Lakers here in the semifinal in the conference finals.
I get it.
You're playing against an Atlanta team which has overachieved. And look, Atlanta's based on University of Maryland players. I'm rooting. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
But their best player is injured, in Trae Young, who didn't play last night. So you're having Middleton and Holiday versus Herter, Clint Capella, and John Collins.
Did you see that shot by Capella?
Yeah, the Larry Bird over the backboard.
Larry Bird. It was better.
It was great. It was awesome.
It was awesome. I mean, you have to watch the details of these games to pick up these moments. That was a special moment for Capella. And I remember him on Houston. And I wanted that Houston team to go all the way. I was a big.
You don't like Golden State, so
sure, okay, that could be the reason. But
yeah, that could be the reason. That is the reason you don't like Golden State,
because I wanted things to change up. I didn't want to say, we needed something to open this league up because we were stuck for a couple of years.
Well, we were stuck for a couple of years because Durant went to Golden State.
Correct. And now he's in Brooklyn, and he couldn't even bring it home year one. But you know what he'll do? He'll do what LeBron did with the Lakers. He's going to win next year. They're going to find a way to win.
Probably.
They'll win.
I think they'll be the favorites going in.
Yes.
And assuming everyone's healthy. And assuming Kyrie wants to play.
And you know what? If Brooklyn had beaten the Bucks, this wouldn't be a fun series. I think the next two series would have been, kind of mundane.
Anticlimactic. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I said this on the show 2 weeks ago. I thought the winner of the Brooklyn Milwaukee series was going to win the title, and I don't find this good. I'm a Nets fan, but I don't find this team particularly likable. I really liked the team 2 years ago that had D'Angelo Russell and Spencer Dinwiddie and Jared Allen and Karis with Coach Atkinson. They were a lot of fun. Now, they were not as talented. They weren't going to win a title, but they were a lot of fun to watch. I don't particularly enjoy watching Harden play. I think he's wonderful at what he does, but it's either a fade back, a step back three, or it's a drive to the lane where he pretty much bullies himself into getting fouled.
Because some of these guys, unfortunately, have egos, and I put both Durant, big personalities, Durant and Harden are both those kind of guys. While I put a lot of blame on Game 7, the Nets losing on the Durant shot, I also put a tremendous amount of blame on Joe Harris because he doesn't have.
I think that's a more practical.
That's probably a more practical view of this game, but you could tell he just doesn't have the experience, and some of these guys just completely fall apart in the playoffs. They just can't handle the pressure. They can't make it happen.
I think also I want to see what happens. This was such a strange year. There was such a small gap in between the bubble and starting again. There's so many injuries this year. The season's been a little screwy. I'm kind of willing to give with Joe Harris. I'd rather give them a year to see how it plays out than to make that comment right up front. Because the reality is, as you said, if they're healthy, Brooklyn wins the title. Very simple. Brooklyn's the best.
So why can't Commissioner Silver fix the schedule? Because everybody knows, listen, the regular season is the regular season. You win your 40, 50 games and you solidify your place in the playoffs. But
money,
sport. But hear me out. Sports is all about the playoffs. It's the most exciting part. And they added the new structure with the playing game, which I love. But why don't you scale back the regular season so that all the superstars that we're paying to watch and see and support aren't getting injured? Look who's gotten injured. Everybody.
Money. Why would they possibly cut off games where you just had a year where you lost $2 billion of revenue? You want to cut games so there's less revenue coming in?
Either that or somehow figure a way to shift the season or manage minutes where you don't have these back-to-back, these series that, these players are just playing game over game. It's tons of overlap heading into the playoffs.
There's nothing you can do. You got load, unless you're going to do the load management like they did with Kawhi. You can see how well that ended up mattering. Unless you're going to do load management, there's nothing. You can't make this, especially now. when all of these sports, basketball, baseball, football, hockey, they are $1 billion in the tank right now because of the last 18 months. To ask them to cut games and lose revenue generation isn't going to happen.
And get rid of the preseason. Do something to protect the players when we get ready for the postseason.
Well, look, in a
I
normal
can't stand
year,
these injuries. These guys are getting hurt, and they're getting paid a
in
lot of
a,
money to do their job.
in a normal year, this year ends, give or take, this year will end, middle of July, the season will end.
Sure.
Forget the Olympics because the Olympics are 12 to 15 people. They're choosing to play. That's their decision.
That's their decision, sure.
They don't go back until October.
Okay.
I mean, literally, the season starts Halloween.
I know, but this past season, didn't it start in December?
Right, but forget what past season was. Remember, there was only a month and a half, literally 6 weeks off. You now have 2.5 to 3 months off next year, which is normal.
You're right.
So you kind of have to let this year, this is the anomaly. Look, your career, my career, everybody's world. This was an anomaly of a year. It just was. I mean, we've talked about it. And going forward, are there things? Look, do I care personally if LeBron plays 72 instead of 80 games? Absolutely not. Do I think it makes sense to rest players going into the playoffs when you don't a guy like a LeBron or a Durant, where your team really doesn't care if they're the 2 seed or the 3 seed? It's not like a young Atlanta team where you really need the home court advantage. But the teams with the veterans where it doesn't make that much of a difference, I would absolutely advise load management and resting players.
Because some of these players have been out for so. I mean, Durant was out.
Yeah.
Clay's been out for 2 years. Imagine what happens when Clay comes back in I don't know when he comes back, but the Warriors
Supposedly next year.
The Warriors could become a contender again. Big time.
Oh, well, they'll be right there. If they're healthy, because they're going to trade Weissman, they're going to trade a pick, they're going to get another stud. They have 2 lottery picks anyway. And they're going to be, I mean, I don't worry about Golden State. I mean, look, Curry was a top 3 MVP candidate this year.
I know you love Curry. I want a center who can not only coordinate and facilitate like Draymond Green. I get it. I understand why people like him, but he doesn't make shots. He doesn't score points. And the only way to win the game, aside from defense and making sure the other team doesn't score as many points, is you have to score points.
Did you just say the only way to win a game is to either hold someone from scoring or to score?
In so many words, yes. But my point is, Draymond does help.
Yes.
The amount of points that other teams are going to put up, but he's not giving the points.
He gives you 7 to 6. He averages like 12, 10, and 7.
That's not enough for his caliber.
As a number 4 player,
for the way people respect him and look at him and his role on that team, it's not enough.
Well, but that's why he wouldn't fit anywhere else.
He's a role player. He might as well be coming off the bench. 10 points. What is he? Boogie Cousins last night playing 11 minutes and getting 15. That was.
Dude, Zach, if he was that bad, why is he on his like 3rd Olympic team? He's not a role. He's not a scorer. He's not a number 1 scorer, and he's not a number 2 scorer on a championship team. But he's a defensive stud. He passes the ball beautifully.
When they won that first year, Iguodala was the MVP of that.
Yes, he was.
Of that series.
So he was the number 4 scorer on that team.
I know he was.
He wasn't?
No, he was.
Yeah.
He was.
When they won the other championships with Durant, he was the number 4 scorer.
Gosh, I get more production out of Brook Lopez. He'll take a beautiful 3 from the corner. He'll dunk. He'll play inside the paint. I love Brook Lopez.
You don't need him to score. You need him to do everything else. They have enough scoring, assuming Clay is healthy. Look, everything's predicated on that.
I get that.
If Clay's healthy, you have the best scoring backcourt in the league. Or if you want to say one of the 2 best backs, it's fine. They're going to score.
I'm talking to you about the team I hate the most in the NBA. For at least 5 or 10 minutes now, we're talking about the Golden State Warriors.
Sorry, who would you like to talk about?
No, it's all good. We're burning through topics. We're talking about all the teams, where they're at, and where they're going to be in the future. I just,
you don't like You don't like Draymond Green. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think he's where he is exactly where he should be. He's not a number two scorer on a championship team. He is a very, very, very well-rounded player who scores when necessitated, but can do everything else. And you need those role players. That's what Robert Ory was. Yes, I know. Back in my era, in the good old days, like that's. Although that would just make you like 20, so not quite that far. But, that's people have different roles. Curry's role was to lead and to be able to shoot. Thompson's role was to shoot. Again, I don't know how we got into Golden State, but and to play defense because
We were
that's what
talking
he was
about
great.
injuries, and we got to
Yeah.
but
I mean, look. At the end of the day, we got 2 or 3 weeks left of really fun basketball. I don't know if it's good.
So what
but
do you
it's
predict
fun.
is going to happen tonight? This is Game 6 at Staples, down 3-2. The Suns appear to be healthy. The Suns appear to be healthy, and you need a 40-point game from Paul George. That's how the Clippers win and force Game 7. You need 40 out of George.
I think the Clippers win 6. I think Phoenix wins 7.
Okay. They go back to the Valley and win. Okay.
I do. But tonight should be fun. And, look, this is a more fun. The Milwaukee Atlanta series has taken a huge hit for me with Giannis out, and with Trey hurt, it doesn't feel like because of health issues. And look, Atlanta absolutely deserves to be there. They played beautifully against Philly.
You're right.
But it feels really weird to see an Atlanta team. I mean, think about this going into the season. If you said, yeah, the conference finals are Milwaukee without Giannis, in Atlanta, who half the people didn't think were going to make the playoffs, without Trae Young.
But this is how I felt with Butler's Heat last season. I didn't think they were going to make it all. It's not like they had all the right pieces together and they were this elite dominating squad. They were just a team that had grit. They were grinding. They were there. They were hustling all 40 plus minutes, and they got through each series. And that's what Atlanta's been. Atlanta destroyed the Knicks, right?
Yeah, which I was proud to pick that one.
And here they are sitting at 2-2. Both stars are out, and now you're talking about backups on a Game 5. Who's going to win this? I mean, listen, whoever, if the Hawks come out, it's going to be either the Clippers or Suns that takes the cake. Atlanta's not winning this.
Atlanta wasn't beating Philly. Atlanta wasn't beating Milwaukee.
It's not about not beating them. They're not winning the championship. They're not going to beat the West. I don't care what team comes out. Clippers, Suns, it's not happening. Eventually, this Cinderella story is going to come to an end. I'm sorry to say.
Why do you think Phoenix why is Phoenix not a Cinderella story? They haven't been in the playoffs in 10 years.
Because they had a really good team. They had a really, really good team. I love Cameron Payne. I really love Cameron Payne.
Did you love Cameron Payne the last 6 years when he's done nothing?
But he stepped up. He's
played very well.
He's played well, and they need to give him more minutes.
I agree that if Atlanta makes it, I think Phoenix I think Phoenix would be the favorite. I would assume. No, not overwhelming. They would be the favorite. This is not a Jordan Bulls, a Heat, a LeBron Heat. This is not a great. None of these teams are great. There's no definitive. There's no San Antonio playing against Cleveland in the 2006 when Cleveland's second best player was Boogie Gibson. Excuse me. I haven't said the word booby in a while. I mean, or Elgauskas. And San Antonio has the big four. There's no. It's not a preordained that they're going to win. It's not a foregone conclusion. Would I put Phoenix as a favorite over Atlanta? Absolutely. Would I put the Clippers as a favorite over Atlanta? I think so, but I am really uncomfortable with this Clippers team. I can't read them.
I just feel
you're depending on Reggie Jackson.
You're depending on Reggie Jackson, agreed.
Which is not exactly something that's going to give me great comfort as a number 2 scorer on a championship team.
Whoever comes out of the West, I think you have to kind of analyze the two teams out of the West, because the two teams out of the East, the Bucks, Giannis, okay, the Hawks somehow made it here. You're not talking about Hall of Famers and legacies that are on the line with those two teams in the East. But let's just break down the West for a second, okay? You've got Chris Paul and the Suns. Chris Paul, this will be his first final. This will solidify Hall of Fame status. This is what he needs. He needs to win this. He needs to win this. And on the other end, the scrutiny that Paul George has been facing year over year, pandemic P, and all these nicknames that they throw around for the guy, and he takes a ton of credit. I mean, talking about really putting a player down, not just criticism, but people have it out for Paul George. I almost feel bad for the guy, but if he can come out of this and win the West and then go win the finals, just like Chris Paul cementing his status, I think you've got Paul George. I mean, this is his opportunity. This is it.
I disagree. Paul's legacy. Look, Paul is a Hall of Famer, regardless of whether they win a title or not. That's not even. I don't even think that's a discussion point. Paul is the best point guard of the last 15 years. But
we've been talking about guys that don't have championships. The Charles Barkleys and the guys from the last generation that have all the accolades but don't have a championship. I'm talking about taking a team without the superstar. He's the clear number 2. Their superstar left. He got them out of the last series. Now he's here in the Western Conference Finals.
You talking about George? Wrong Paul. Sorry, I'm talking about the wrong Paul.
Oh,
Chris Paul.
Chris Paul. Okay.
You brought up Chris Paul. Chris Paul is in the Hall of Fame already.
I agree with you.
That's done.
Yeah.
As in regards to George's legacy, George demanded a trade out of Indiana. They trade him. George goes to Oklahoma City, ecstatic to play with Westbrook, resigns, demands a trade a year later. There's a reason people don't like George.
I get that.
And you can't have it both ways.
I don't like him. I never liked him, but I have respect for where they're at right now. It just clicked on me recently. And you know what? I was a huge Russell Westbrook fan. I mean, the triple-double king. The last couple of years, the last 5, 6, 7 years, I've loved Westbrook. I've really loved him. But he's not that player. He's not that guy. He'll get you production, but he's not going to win a championship. It's not going to happen.
No, well, certainly not in Washington. But again, their best chance was with Oklahoma City. They went to the finals with. I mean, think about that team now: Harden, Westbrook, and Durant.
It's better. I would take Westbrook over Kyrie Irving. So
very different kind of players.
Very different kind of players, but again, I look at on the court and off the court, and Kyrie's just got too much going on in his life. Westbrook is the guy I want in that 3-piece. That 3-piece, I feel bad for OKC that year. That was the team. I mean, that was the team in the last decade. That was the team, and they just couldn't. That's the problem. You put these trio of superstars together, and you think, oh my God, we've built a dynasty. We're unstoppable. We're going to go all the way, and it's just not happening. And watching the Nets this year just completely erode in Game 7 and some of these mistakes that were made, it's not all about these superstars anymore. It's about the supporting cast, the coaching, managing load management in minutes. There's a lot of moving pieces. There really are.
Well, the reality to me is if you're going to it's moot because if they're healthy, they win the title. You can say all the supporting you want. If Kyrie's playing and if Harden's healthy, we're not having this discussion.
I can't live in a world of what ifs. There's too many scenarios. There's too many directions.
Well,
what if Jamal Murray was healthy? The Nuggets would have gotten out of the first round and somehow made their way all the way to the finals.
Fair enough.
What about Anthony Davis? What if Anthony Davis? I talk about a collapse.
Anthony Davis apparently didn't work out last year.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis wasn't in shape. That's different. That's different than injury.
Okay, but you know what? A healthy Davis with a healthy LeBron, I don't know. Maybe they beat the Suns. Maybe then from there, they face their Clippers. They face their biggest rivals in the Western. Imagine that in the West, the Lakers and the Clippers. That would have been an interesting series. The fact of the matter is, people will say if Kawhi is healthy, right? If Kawhi's healthy and we got Kawhi and George and, it's a no-brainer. We're going to make it there. But you know what? Paul wasn't playing that great when Kawhi was healthy. Paul stepped under the lights. He had the spotlight. It was his time to shine. So sometimes it takes an injury for the number one guy, for the 2 guy to step up and do what he was paid to do.
So as we kind of wind this down, we've spent 50 minutes on basketball.
Love it. Love it.
Love it. What do we have? I'm assuming what are your predictions going for the end?
For the end at this point?
What do we got?
In basketball right now.
Right now. We've been talking basketball for 50.
We've been talking basketball for 50. To wrap this up, if you asked me 48 hours ago, I would have said Bucks Suns and Bucks to win it all. Right now, where I am at 12:30 on a Wednesday, where everything stands, I'm going Hawks coming out of the East. I can't believe I'm saying it, and I hate to turn my back on the Suns, but I think the Clippers are gonna win in 7. I think they are. And I don't want that to happen. I want the Suns to win. I really do. I want them to win. I just don't know if they have it. I don't know if they have it. Too much pressure.
And then I'm assuming you got the Clippers over the Hawks.
Correct.
I will call you out next week when we see where we go. Zach, thanks for coming on the show this week.
This was incredible. Everyone out there, keep your eyes on Josh Allen this year. And also, one more thought, keep your eye on the Tennessee Titans with A.J. Brown and Julio and Derrick Henry and the play action of Tannehill. That is just a match made in heaven. I love the Titans this year. If he's able to complete his passes and throw for 3,500, 4,000 yards and get the ball 20 TDs out of Henry, I think this team is unstoppable. And I think Josh Allen and the Bills are going to go very far this season. Just keep your eye out.
We just jumped from the Titans to the Bills. You just went from Derrick Henry to Josh Allen. Pick a team, dude.
Those are
Pick a team.
I'm a diehard Bills fan, and those are the teams I love. I have my whole family has Pat Mahomes jerseys.
I was going to say you're a diehard Bills fan who wears Pat Mahomes jerseys.
I put my 1-year-old daughter Lola in a Pat Mahomes jersey on the Super Bowl last year, and look what happened. Tom Brady stuffed it.
Well, we will have football probably in about a month or so. We'll start getting into football. And if you want to come on in, you're more than welcome to jump on.
A blast.
All right. For Zach Ziskin, this is Seth Kamers on the Seth and Sean Sports Radio Show. Watch us on StreamYard, on YouTube, on Back Sports page. I will check you guys out next week. Have a good one.
Awesome. Thanks.